Welcome to the Rules and Government Relations meeting of, what's today?
27th.
27th. Yeah. It's 5 p.m.
I'll
Everyone's
make a
here.
motion to approve the minutes of the
Can
December
you sign it?
meetings that I
Or you
sent
can
to you.
Yes, second.
All in favor, you're supposed to say.
Oh, yeah, well, right. All in favor?
Aye.
No, you're saying.
Oh, these are the December ones. I'm abstaining.
I'll make a motion to approve Peg's minutes.
Motion on the board?
Second.
Second? Okay. All in favor?
Aye. Thank you.
Actors, what was it? Actors. Street. Street.
I recommend, well, we did, but remember when I was standing here?
Yes.
So, oh my God.
Great. Well,
So, if I may,
sure.
Mr. Chair, Mr. Krasinski is not here, Councilor Krasinski is not here, but I have deep knowledge of the senior volunteer work-off program.
Okay, let's discuss that first, and then we can move on to the others.
I invited, what's your name?
Brendan.
And Joe. Brendan and Joe here too, because they have been integral. I've had conversations with them over the last few months, and so we're kind of all on the same page.
Great.
And what we're kind of hoping to get out of this, because we are huge advocates for this, and we're hoping that this committee will craft a plan of action. We have done a lot of research in other municipalities across the state and what they do and how they have it set up. And there's a lot of parameters in terms of how much you can set the exemption for. If you want to set a cap, either by hours, by number of people, or by total amount.
Right.
There's a lot of permutation with this. And so, not knowing what Councilor Krasinski had in mind, I think we're all aware of the potential for this and the possibility. It requires engagement with the department heads to work and try to figure out jobs. And the job, once we get to a place where we have some jobs and we post the jobs, Brendan would be the initial interviewer to come screen them. And then the department heads would do the final yes, no, we want this person based on whatever jobs they have. And the senior individual would work up to, either we can set it at, if you work this many hours, you get a $500 exemption, however you want to set it, up to $1,500 a year. So that's one way to do it. There is also parameters in the law that allow you to have other people do the work on your behalf, like a proxy.
Right, okay.
These are all things we need to consider.
Right.
And so all of this needs to be written up so that this committee can kind of hash it out, figure it out what we want to create in terms of a document.
Am I misunderstanding? I thought we were to decide whether we wanted an ad hoc committee to investigate.
True, yes, I mean.
If that's the case, then why? I mean, I don't know if we need the ad hoc committee, because I think this committee can do the work, but I'm just wondering
Well,
what that was that the
Yes,
what
so I just kind
Krasinski
of,
put forward?
yeah, I just kind of gave you a history of what the work-off program is.
We actually went through this a few
The,
years ago.
the committee is a good idea, I think, because it allows seniors in the community to weigh in on what would work for them. And I would also like to hear about those individuals who maybe are unable to work and might be advantaged by having a proxy. So all of those kinds of opinions, I think, would be really valuable. I wouldn't want it to go on ad nauseum, but
Right.
it could go on for a month or two, and then we have some.
Question, does it have to be all council members? Could it be a 5-member, Mr. Gentleman on this committee or something? Or is
I mean,
it
that's what we
council?
did for charter review, and that's
Yeah,
what
but
we did
that's
with the...
specific in the languages in the charter. This isn't, I don't think we have any rules where
Right.
the ad hoc committee
So
can't
that's, I think,
be
what we're
some
trying to figure
citizens.
out. I
In
want it
other words,
to.
the composition
Of the
folks on the committee.
I would love Brendan and Joe to be on it if that's possible, or
I don't think there's anything in our rules saying that we
Ad
can't
hoc
do that.
committees, we can-
And I mean, for the ranked choice voting implementation committee, right?
that was in the legislature.
Well, sure, but you know, they're right, but there's nothing saying that we couldn't
No, there's nothing that says that an ad hoc committee can't include citizens. That would be up to the president. And I would recommend that we recommend that and formally ask Brendan and Joe if they'd like to be on this committee. Because you also have the contacts with the seniors that you could bring in to the meetings.
And
What do you
I
think of
already
this?
have heard of one person who has actively asked me to be on it.
The
Stan
other
Diamond.
That committee could decide what.
Yeah, so we talked about potentially, should we have someone who has municipal finance background, because this will impact potentially the finances, and it would be good, maybe as an at-large consultant to the group, if they have
I think we
questions
could
around.
bring them in, like bring
Right.
Lori or
Yes.
Val would be perfect.
Yes.
How much would this, if we were to, well, you brought up some of the parameters that are allowed by the law.
Yep.
The committee should be charged. Which ones of those are we going to allow? I like the idea of, for instance, the son of the senior coming in to do his work for him. I like that.
Yep.
Because the senior may not be able to walk.
Right.
But that kind of thing is what the committee should develop. Also, find out what the costs are.
Right. And how are those
Community,
costs formed?
Right.
Well, if we decide that so-and-so is going to work off $1,000 in taxes,
What is it?
what is the limit of all the people that we're going to allow to do this? Is it $10,000? Is it $50,000? That has to be budgeted as
Right.
part of the revenue stream. So that's the kind of thing that the committee should be charged with, and I think that's maybe what we develop is makeup of the committee, and what are the charge to the committee to do?
Right. One quick, maybe not essential question, but for this sort of thing, is it set up in a way that we would basically, there would be an amount of money in the budget that would be available to people or would it be something like the tax abatement programs?
It would be,
I like the exemption.
it's a line item in the budget.
Okay.
I talked to the director in Westfield about the program that they run, and they start off with a round number of 20K in the budget, and then part of the rule is, they're gonna give up to $500, so do the math, and it comes up to, you've got about 40 people possibility, and they're willing to consider if they get more than, they might be able to pump that up a little bit above 40, but then otherwise have a lottery to determine who the 40 are. But you start with a big number up here and then say, okay, where can we go? The other thing is when people, the amount that they work off, it's based on the minimum, the current minimum wage here.
Right.
Which is $12.75, I think. So that determines the number of hours per person that they would have to.
Okay.
And department heads would have to say, I have 20 hours I can give to this program.
Yeah.
Because that's the kind of administration that they have to be willing to do. Here's so-and-so, is gonna, come into the DPW and they're gonna put them out on the streets to clean the streets. What are we asking these seniors to do? And who's supervising them? And each department head has to say, I would think, what can we contribute to this program in the sense of hours? And what will we ask them to do? It has to be all set up so that it's not, oh my God, I have this person, what am I gonna have
What are they
to
going to do when they show up on Monday?
Right.
And we also have to be mindful of something that we talked about last week is that it has a time limit. You can't set up somebody who's going to be working in the city throughout the year. It's going to be a short period of time they're going to be working, and depending on the amount too.
Yeah.
But I think if we talk to Val, we can actually have this conversation and see what a realistic amount could potentially be. We don't have to go with 1,500. We can aim for something much more than that if it's going to be a burden. But these are great discussions for.
Well, I think we should develop in this committee what the ad hoc committee is going to do.
Like the composition?
What their composition is 5 members?
I think it could be any number.
I'm just trying to get.
Sure, yeah.
We'll start with
We're
5.
making the decision, are we, what this committee should do?
In my
well,
head, I was thinking 5, did we talk about 5 to 7?
So 3 counselors?
Oh, that's me.
Well,
No, it has to be dealt with by the city. We're
Well,
the
if
ones
it's
making-
3 counselors and these 2 guys, that's fine.
So
Yeah,
it's-
we're talking about a resident also
Yeah.
having the opportunity
Yeah.
of being.
2 counselors,
Yeah.
Brendan,
I mean,
Joe, and a resident?
Our ranked choice voting only has 2 city councilors, and
Yeah.
that's pretty intense.
Actually, it might not be super intense, but we'll see.
My only thinking is it has to be brought to it's an ad hoc committee of the council.
Right.
I don't care. I don't know why.
I think 2 is more than
2
enough.
counselors, Brendan and Joe,
And 3, and potentially
and a resident, like a senior.
Senior.
at least 1.
Well, that's fine. We definitely want Brendan and Joe on it. They're
We-
willing to do it.
I think it would be helpful to have somebody from the city, from the finance department, whether that's Jen or Val or
Can they come in
somebody.
when needed? In other words, you guys are talking finance today, let's bring Val in.
Sure.
I mean,
Or we
for,
could-
for that
Plus an, 5
point,
plus an ad hoc finance for an at-large one.
I mean, right, I mean, probably all sorts of people from the city. I do think it might be really helpful if there's somebody from the city, from the finance side that would like to sit in on this on a
And be a
regular
part of it,
basis. I think, because that is, I mean, I'm
Maybe
just-
not vote if there's any voting.
A non-voting member of the finance committee, or finance staff, like that. Somebody who would know what would it mean if we did $50,000 in exemptions to the budget. What are the charges we want to give them?
Well, let's kind of land on the makeup first.
Well, I said 2 counselors.
I know, but we haven't agreed to that yet.
Okay.
So, yes,
How about
Joe,
a department head? Like a city department head?
great idea.
Because they're
They're
the
the ones
folks who
who
are
are
gonna be
gonna do the
coming
job.
up with
Brendan's a
the
department
jobs.
head.
Yeah.
Well-
I mean, I don't know. Were you thinking about? Yeah, I guess.
I think we talked about it, and I got the impression that you didn't necessarily want most of the jobs to be at the COE, or did I miss something?
Well, yeah, I was thinking about that, and that's something that I probably want to spend some time reflecting on, just in case,
If I were chairing this committee, and I don't want that job, by the way,
Yeah.
I would ask all the departments, we're going to talk about this program, and today we want to talk about what department heads can do with it. And I bring them all in. Say, look, tell us if you could use this, we really want to help seniors, what could you do? And that's how the committee can get a gauge on, all right, there's enough work. Because we have to have department heads decide if they can use the people.
I mean, they're the ones identifying the tasks and putting the jobs together, so.
I mean, here's another thought, I just thought of this. Barbara is struggling to get people to do there's a bunch of seniors involved. There's a workout program right there. For the elections. She's really having trouble people manning elections. They can put in 10 hours in one day,
Right.
and some seniors do that and they get paid for it. But if she needs more people,
Yeah.
she can always put people aside. The other person that would be great on this committee, which we don't have, and I don't know if the temp is the person, is the human resources director, would have been perfect for this committee, but we don't
An
have.
HR
Well,
person.
it's in the packet, so it'll be approved.
Why don't we,
But, yeah, I mean.
I would ask HR to
I
be
mean,
in this.
I think in a lot of ways, maybe depending on what you guys think for the time frame, I do worry that we're kind of voluntelling people here.
Only
And
Brennan and Joe, and they said yes.
well, no, yeah, they already said yes. So, I mean, do you think it's valuable to maybe check in with some of these folks and see whether they think that they'd be valuable as a
Who are
addition?
these folks?
HR,
Oh.
Val, you know.
Wasn't sure if you meant like the people who were going to be the workers.
For the counselors, we'd have to get, I would hope that
Well,
JP would be on.
Here's the thing, I see where you're going, but I also don't, I think if you sat some of the department heads down today, they'd go, oh my God, that's too much work. No. If you created a program in the city that starts to, like, then it kind of, they have to participate, like, well, they don't.
Sure.
But I mean, it becomes more of a mandate than just off the cuff, with this one for you, yeah.
I know someone that I want on this committee. Seriously?
I know, Dan, you're kind of veering off of
Well,
the
we're trying
conversation
to,
right now.
the conversation isn't about how this program will work. The conversation is about the committee. What will the committee be charged with doing? And one of those things is how will this program work? So I'm just trying to stay on point into what our rules committee is charged with. And I'd like to, I know we've all thought about all the things, and that's why I think Peggy'd be great on it, but Brendan and Joe, you know what you think needs on it, and you just made a great point. So I don't know, who do we want on this committee?
Okay, so
I think HR is critical
2CC.
because we're talking about
The
one of the
COA.
things that became a roadblock the last time we talked about this. Is there going to be employees? What does that mean? They're employees of the city, regardless of how we look at it. So I would look at what Westfield does. I think they are.
Right. Joe and I have much more than Westfield. We've got Northampton.
Fine.
We got a
Ludlow.
ton. We got a bunch of them. So let's not kick into one.
Westfield, given their demographic, I don't know, it's kind of a whole other beast.
Yeah, and they will have their federal taxes taken out of their wages. There's nothing to-
That's the HR person who's going to bring all that through.
I hesitate to say this, but I'm retired, but before I retired, I worked in the federal government. I worked in an HR office. Now, granted, I did strategic HR planning, but,
It's
I
different.
do have some.
That's good, but you
HR
could go back and forth with the municipal law
Yeah.
and the HR program that is direct for the city. Because these are city employees who have to match city law, city. So I am going to say, I'm hoping the HR director can be on this committee.
I mean, look, we're gonna need, whether they're on the committee or not, they're gonna have to show up a bunch to chat. And that's the same with probably folks, on the financial side, are gonna have to show up. And the question is, who do we need as a voting member, I guess, is really, that's the big question,
I
right?
have another idea. Let's let Peg decide and make up this committee based on her knowledge of what has to be done. No. Well, you're going to name them. I mean, you're going to ask counselors, and obviously to me, it'd be Peg and JP if I was involved in this, but JP presented it. He should be on the committee, but that would be up to Peg. And then Brendan and Joe, a senior citizen.
I'm
HR.
agnostically calling it two from the Council on Aging. Not necessarily.
Yeah, but they will be appointed.
Right.
This is a secret meeting.
And then two residents.
It's on tape, but it's secret.
Potentially.
We're up to 6 members if we put a senior and an HR member. Why don't we go to 7 and put the finance member on as a full member?
So, I will now weigh in. I think 2 city councilors, 2 council on aging, 2 residents, 1 finance, and department heads, including the HR director, as needed. So 7 voting members,
Yeah.
and ad hoc
Okay.
as they come and go. as
Well,
decisions.
when decisions are made, that HR person needs to be here.
Oh, yeah.
Sure, but they
I have
don't
no
have
problem
to
with that.
necessarily be a voting member. I mean, they can show up and say, here's my opinions on things.
Because I think there needs to be a charter written for this. I think all of the background information we have would be on the first meeting. These are your options that you get to do. We can set a dollar amount, and then the finance person can weigh in about how that all works. And if we can get a framework that then becomes something a little more concrete, we call in the department head and we say, look, this is kind of where we're going with this.
Sounds
This
like
is
a-
the responsibility that you would have as a department head. And, Joe and I are very familiar with the timeframes that, like, you have to stop working in October because it takes 2 months to do the quote-unquote abatement or whatever you call it, exemption, to get that all squared away and on their tax.
To the January tax.
Yeah.
Thank you, Jeff. He's bringing something.
So,
Oh, look at how beautiful.
so we kind of have a good idea for all the parameters. We kind of have a good idea for how this was laid out, and I'm happy to put that together. Joe and I can work on it to get ready for the first meeting, so, but I kind of feel like 2 city councilors, 2 COA, 2 residents, and a partridge in a pear.
And I would only say that part of our report to the full council is the charter would be to develop the parameters of the program as allowed by law.
Yep.
And that includes finance. We
Yep.
don't have to put this in our report. If somebody asks, you could say, financing, how many hours,
Yep.
what is it gonna cost the city, all of these things that you know well about.
Yeah.
But just to develop the parameters of the program as allowed by law is all we have to say. Plus the membership is 7 members.
Yeah.
And so the charter is really a proposal, not, I don't know what the first one
But the committees,
creating a
the
proposal.
committees,
is. That will go to finance.
the committees,
Yeah, because it's going to involve dollars.
no, I think they should report back to the full council and we should just do it. To develop the parameters, their charter, what do we call it? Their charter is to develop the parameters of the program as allowed by law and report back to the full council with a recommendation.
Sure.
Okay? And since
Can you
you're
send
on
me
it,
those words and something?
how about if I report? 7 members, 2 counselors, 2 members of the COA, 2 seniors.
Did we land
Who
on
was
that
the
they
third
have to be
person? Who was
seniors?
the 5th one?
I think a
Two
representative,
residents.
yeah.
2 residents, I think they should be seniors.
I think it certainly helps, but if there's like a resident who
Who has
is.
a parent?
2 counselors, 2 COA, 2 residents, who's the 7th member?
Oh, finance, someone, yeah.
And 1 member of the financial staff. And their charter would be to develop the parameters of the program as allowed by law and to report back to the full council with a recommendation. Because this is an ad hoc committee of the council, so it's like a committee, it's not,
Yeah.
we don't have to send it to another committee. Okay?
What did you have after as allowed by law?
As allowed by law and to report back to the council with the full council with the recommendation. Do you want to put a timeline on this? 1 month or 2 months?
They might need more than that.
Yeah.
These are the sorts of things that, I mean, maybe,
If we bring this forward at the next meeting, we could,
yeah,
and the full council says, okay, yes, we'll have this committee. Peg can name it at the next meeting, and it's, what's that? That's March 18th. Then they have April, May, and June.
Yeah, but they're not, if we approve it on the 18th,
Mhm.
I would want to then start to broadcast that I want people to apply, and that will take a few weeks, I think.
it has to.
How about 3 months after the president names the committee?
No, I don't want to do that.
I just, do you want it to extend for a year? We don't think we want that.
I don't, but I don't think until the committee meets, they know how long it's going to take. We don't know who's going to be on the committee.
All I'm saying is if you don't give them a
Well,
deadline.
we can do that once we meet.
I mean, I don't
Well, I'm
think
talking
that
about the full
anybody,
council giving them a
I don't think that anybody on any committee like this just wants for a committee to drag on
No,
forever
they
and
want to
indefinitely.
do it and get done.
You know.
So you don't worry about it. All right, I just want to review. So then, to me, we do this
Especially if I end up being
now.
on the committee, chop chop, they really do that.
Yeah, that's true. I would certainly, you will decide this, but I would certainly ask JP since he's sponsored this. But if he says no, then fine.
I'm not going to name people, they have to ask if they want to be on.
Okay.
Because
But
if he doesn't
you should
ask-
say if you get 4 or 5 counselors, you should
Oh,
still be on that.
Yeah, I kind of want
I want you to do that.
it. So,
6 members, including the president of the council. We could do that. What do you think?
Technically, I mean,
We
it
could do
doesn't really
that.
matter. She's gonna be the one picking it anyway.
Yeah.
So.
I picked myself.
okay, so are we ready for a motion?
I'll move that we adopt what I just said. 7 members, 2 counselors, 2 members of the COA, 2 residents, and 1 member of the financial staff.
Second.
And, I'm not done. And their charter will be to develop the parameters of the program as allowed by law and make a recommendation to the full council.
Second.
I was trying to decide if it should be 2 motions in case we want to.
Well, that's just what we're doing.
Okay,
All in favor?
aye.
Aye. Done.
Okay, so may I announce this Wednesday.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
I think Tom should bring it up as a rules report and you go through it.
Okay.
But we're moving on.
Yeah, this is not gonna sit.
But after this meeting, I want to have an off-the-record comment from you about certain members of the company.
Okay.
All right. Okay.
Thank you, guys. I don't know, do we want any more?
Do you guys have anything else you wanna weigh in on here?
The committee's going to do all the work on this.
Right.
Yeah, I guess my only thought is that, wow, you know, when you start off and put the program together, you want it to be as close as possible, you know, to the target. But another way to think about it would be to say, you know, let's treat it as a pilot test. You know, maybe start a little bit smaller than you might ordinarily want to go to, see how it works, and then once you know that the fine points are going to work that way, then you can sort of ramp the program up.
You guys know the...
And that could be one of the recommendations out of the committee, that we
Okay.
wanna start this with one department. And, you know, something like that.
Maybe started at COA, a very small
That
amount of
could be the
people.
recommendation.
But if you get a ton of people wanting to do it, and I'm just going to ask you, what do you think the turnout will be for this? Do you think there'll be a lot of people wanting to do it? I mean, if I wanted to make more money, I could always go to Walmart and be a greeter. I mean, that's what you get, $12.75 an hour.
I think
mean,
I already know the two residents that are gonna wanna do this.
I'm talking about being in the program to do the work.
Oh, to do it? Oh.
I mean, why do we do it if we don't have at least 20 or 30 seniors that want to work off the tax?
I mean, I think that there's a potential that there will be some people who would actually think this is like a rewarding way to spend some.
One of the recommendations from the lady who runs the program in Hadley, she said that when you advertise the program, you have to really go all out and use community TV, PSAs, get the word out really widely to people in town so that somebody can't say, well, I would have done it, but I never heard about it.
Oh, yeah. Well,
So just,
To kind of go back to what you were saying, a lot of people, you know, who are at a certain point of retirement, may not want to necessarily be job seeking, and they want to stay within the community and give back to the community, because they're going to get a tax break. So I think there's this incentive, like you're not working for a corporation, you know, at minimum wage, you're actually doing something that you feel is going to benefit your.
there tend to be
And make it something.
income guidelines too, so that you can't, somebody who's
well, yeah, your application has to include how much money you make.
A tax
now.
return.
Your tax return. It has to be a tax return, I would imagine.
Yeah.
But you guys will decide that. And that's what's allowed by law, because there's privacy stuff in that. You know?
Right.
But you guys will look at all those factors, the law at hand. And I was just thinking, things like, you said community service, the community center, they're giving out a meal for people, low-income people, whatever needs it, and the senior will come and help. That's a cool thing.
Yeah, I mean, the school is right for
School might have
things.
people they might.
Library.
Schools are really, like in Westfield anyway, they seem to have about 5 or 6 different positions within their school department for seniors to play all kinds of
Well,
different.
you know, all those communities you mentioned, whatever their programs are, that's a great starting point. Find out what they can do.
Yeah.
What they do, and maybe we could look into those departments.
Sure. I may not have full information on all the jobs from some of the towns I talked to, but I think Northampton is a real easy one to get all their information. They were very forthright.
Well, committee, you will look into it. Thank you, guys.
Thank you. Thanks for coming out. Appreciate it.
Yeah, of course. And I bet, you know, if you, like, just from the stuff we've been doing with telecom, like, municipal governments, they love to come in and talk about what they're doing and whatever. Like, you know, we've had virtually every, you know, public internet provider in Western Mass take time out of their day to drive down and talk to us about what they're doing, just because they think it's cool and they like talking.
That's cool. Yeah, no, that's great.
So I just want to say, if we're going to do these rules now, we have to get them into the packet by Monday. Because I think that councilors have to see them before we present them at the meeting, or we wait another meeting.
Or we wait
That's
another
just me.
meeting.
I don't feel that they should be blindsided with these new rules.
Which new rules are we talking about?
The two new rules were...
The 5C amendment and
The two
the,
that we voted on the minutes meeting.
Highly complex minute one and
I don't think they're that point is that I want them to be able to read them, and I think if we develop them today, if Peggy is willing to write them up, we can give them to Barbara Monday.
I was supposed to rewrite that.
Isn't that a case of your?
I think I was supposed to rewrite some things that I did not do.
Well, I did do my homework, so,
Let me see your rules then. This is your new rule?
yep, it's incorporating your letter.
No measure shall be received or acted upon unless introduced by a member of the council or by a process otherwise provided by the Easthampton Rule Charter. Whenever a council requests consideration of any measure by the council, a draft of the language to be considered should be presented. This draft shall be presented along with any additional information or research. Any council measure requesting shall, that doesn't sound right.
Uh-oh, did I screw something up?
Member? I think it's supposed to be, instead of measure, it should be member.
Any council member requesting,
No, it's requesting from. Any council
Oh
measure
man,
request.
I screwed this up.
Any council member
I tried to merge
request-
them and I
here,
clearly...
here. I think it's any council member request shall include. See what I'm saying? I just dropped it.
Yeah.
Shall include a detailed list of objectives or request and/or requested council action or requested drafts or actions must be submitted. I think it's perfect.
Thank
Good
you.
job.
So the first sentence means it has to be brought to full council for a first reading, essentially. Yeah.
Well, if you're introducing it,
And that sentence hasn't changed. That's
Yeah.
been the same. The first two sentences, in fact, haven't changed. Or, no, sentence.
I think it broadens it. It's done well. I think you were right about the assumption that we're talking about ordinances and resolutions when we are not talking about all. And we can point to
I like it.
JP's two things as not having enough information, to me.
Sure. I mean, honestly, like there's that, and then there's also like I think that there's been examples where we have like in a really like meaning very well, we've introduced things to a committee agenda, but in a way that if you were somebody who was really like an interested member of the public, you might not really have a sense of what was actually going to be discussed in committee. And that, I feel, if not the letter, it goes against the spirit of open meeting law. So,
I think it's great. I'll move that we accept Rule 5C as amended. Councilor Pete?
Second.
okay. Motion second, all in favor?
So we get that to Barbara by Monday.
ING over there.
Now say,
Yes.
Miss Minutes, what do you got?
Did you have like a Red Bull this afternoon? Because my goodness, you came out of the gate hot.
Very hungry.
Came out of the gate hot, man. So what we talked about in the last meeting was to, was to change the wording and create the parameters around the 21 days, change that to 30 days.
Right.
And also, so 30 days to get a draft in, 3 meetings to get the final approved. What I thought we were going to do though is to have Barb here so she could kind of frown or not frown on this whole idea before we actually.
You're totally right. That was
That's a good
the
idea, so why don't we hold this off until we get Barbara next week?
That, I
She
mean,
may have some good ideas, because what I did was, I did send her the draft this time, and she goes, this is great, but I'm not gonna do anything until you send me the approved. Like, so if we're gonna do something that mandates a draft, Barb has to be on board to get it as a draft, or we have to know where we're gonna put a draft so that it fits that purpose.
I think it has to go to Barb because the purpose of having a draft is if somebody within 10 days asks for it.
Right, and that's
And
where
that's
she
where they're gonna
needs
get it. So I think she has to know, what she means is, she's not gonna put it as into the website as approved minutes.
Sure.
But if somebody asks for it, she could say, all I have is a draft, these haven't been approved.
Yeah, and this is an add to her process and will modify her date, so we need to make sure she gets it.
So then I would suggest that we get final wording from Peg and that we get Barbara here to wait.
So
Yep, that
next
sounds
meeting,
great.
When do we want to meet next? I like Thursdays because Tom can meet at 5.
Yeah.
Just saying.
I do too.
If that is something that you guys care about, then I am usually the second Thursday of the month is the only one I can't do. That's the actually either. Yeah, I could do either. Do you want to do a week from now then, the 5th? Because I think the third Thursdays going forward is going to be when the ranked choice voting committee meets. But they meet at 6, so it's not the end of the world.
I don't mind the 5th. You can't meet the 12th.
I can't meet the 12th. That's my
Let's do the
standing
5th.
meeting there.
So 5 p.m. rules.
I can do that.
Are we getting something? I think we're getting something too. There was something on the agenda. I wondered if it was right about the rules, but to look at it.
On the new agenda, we just, oh, I don't even, I know it was 120 pages. My eyes started rolling.
And I think it's probably Jeff.
Yeah, I think so.
Can you ask him to paraphrase at the next meeting?
He said he will require 2, possibly as much as 20 minutes.
At the meeting?
Because he has some things he wants us to be aware of that you can't just, he really wants us to be aware of.
Well,
Rules 5 p.m.
Yes, right.
Rules 5 p.m. on the
Because we
5th.
should know.
yeah.
Well, I like the fact that he gets his updates. I just think sometimes the
Well,
So rules at 5 p.m. and you'll make sure Barbara's.
Okay, sounds good.
is that everything on our agenda?
I believe it is. So I'll
So
entertain-
at the meeting, we can put forward this and that rule. That's good.
Yeah.
Okay.
You got something? Second.
All in favor?
Aye. Boom. Wow.
Motion is adjourned.
You know what I did at finance? I thanked you